All right. How we doing, guys? So here we are, Thursday the 2nd. So we're looking at traditionals today. So you guys saw the polling. And first up, clear winner was Square. And I'm glad you guys chose this because there's some good things in here and a few things I can maybe offer to help you when you're doing an analysis like this. So I've got a finished count on it here, but I just wanted to bring up a blank chart to just show you a few things that can be helpful when you're trying to identify a count or where we are, or just the structure of the market. And is the market, before you start applying any technical tools to it, is the market giving you any tells along the way? Well, of course, if we're trying to identify wave structure, retracements are essential, right? That's what we're looking for to help try and organize the chaos and put a count together. So right off the bat, is a couple things that are just glaring, right? It just tells in the market. And the first being, as I will propose to you guys, things like this are not random. Okay, that's so. When I see that right off the bat, that gets my attention. And then I see this over here, right? So I've got a double. I wanted a double top right here. All right, so I've got these two tagging here, and I've got these two down here. So it helps me kind of frame the market. And then just right off the bat, just little things like so I can see I've got a clear impulse here. All right, so that helps me. So something finished there. So this looks, it's almost a double bottom, but if I were trying to get a count on this, I'd be more inclined. I'd probably put it in log scale. It looks to me like we've got a 3, 4, 5 here that would give us an impulse. There's our deepest retracement. Now this, right off the bat, you're a little, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, I got a 3 there, right? Or is there maybe another way to look at that? Oh, we'll get there in a second. So I know I finished something here, right, relative to this degree. Now looking over here, so this, as we get over to the hard right edge, I mean, this double top up here gets my interest, so it makes me wonder, okay, what's there? So pull this up, what do we get? Back-to-back 65s. All right, so no question this is technical, and then a few other things I look at here. So if this is completing our initial, if this is our 1, 2, perhaps 3, this being the implication being with the lack of the overlap here, we've got a contender for a 1, 2, maybe that's our 3, down for the 4, as that would be the tell there. Now let me get that. We can go up to the big one. We'll go to green. Shit. Hang on, guys. Sorry. Okay, so I've got a contender here. So then I think, okay, maybe 1, 2. Could that be the 3? So your eye looking at that, first thought is, that's something. Let's measure it. So I'm just going to take my alternating tool here. I could do it from here. Just doesn't matter. It's just I've wicked off the lowest low. So grabbing that, here's my 1. Here's my 2. All right, what did we do just right here? Right, I promise you guys, this shit is not random. Right, that is not happening randomly. Okay, so swing high, swing low. We get the 1, 6, 1, 8. We tag it to the tick. And down we go, right? Retrace to the 65, right to the golden zone. They test it twice. Right? Clear resistance, right? So now you start to structure it this way, and you're building the framework for a count, right? So you can see it's technical, right? We've got clear impulses. We've got the market offering tells. We know obviously algos are going to be in here. All right, so let me go show you a finished count. See about putting the whole thing together. So let me get this up over here. So now with some structure to it and having worked through some of the subdivision, I think this plays pretty nicely. So I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into my 1. Now here, because of this structure, took a little bit of checking here, but I think what we end up doing is an A, B, C into a truncated C here to give us the 2, and then the count works. Now, you look here and you think, well, wait, wouldn't that be the 3? Well, I think it's more likely here if I go length of the 1 projected from the proposed 2. Well, here I'm clear, so I'm longer than the 1, the proposed 1. I think this plays better as a 3, 4. Now note here, right? Also, well, shit, guys. So talk about some confluence. Look at this. All right, so swing low here to the lower pivot. If I get that right on there, look at this. All right, at the 6-1 and the 2-6-1-8. Again, guys, that's just Just beautiful confluence, right? This just doesn't happen randomly. Okay, so 1, 2. Now note here, this is my 1. Look how we're spared the overlap here by a couple of ticks. So I think that is also the tell here. So 1, 2, 3. I'm longer than the 1. 4. I don't overlap the 1 on this degree. And then I get a clear impulse here. So I think we get of this, within this third, our extension is in the 5th, right? And then the very technical top up there, all just gorgeous technical trading. I mean, I can't Photoshop this stuff. I mean, it's just unbelievable, right? So now, with that completed, what do we have? Potentially, now it's always just the potential. This count could get invalidated, certainly. 1, 2, 3, down we go for the 4. Now that's a deep 4 relative to this 2, regardless of which pivot you use. So when you have that depth of retracement, I would go to the absolute low and then pull up here and look for the start of the entire move, which is our absolute low, through the pivot here. Now here we've had a little, see that we had the little reaction here on the 50, so it makes me think likely here, despite we got through it, right, is it the structure that holds it? Well, let me see. Now I'm going to pull some of this off here just to show you a few other things in here. So that I'm down here on a 4-hour. So before we dig in here, this is a little squirrely, but it looks like we've got an A, then an A, B, C into our B, and then we come down here. Now, couldn't help but notice this. So, of course, you're trying to check where are the algos. What did they do last? So, if I put this right on there, okay. So here it's literally tick to tick. All right. So here's the 50. We go to the algo target, to the tick, reaction. So you look at that reaction and you go, huh. Well, that looks like that might be technical. So I grab this from my technical pivot. What do we get? All right, so I'm going to take this one off because we've already hit that. Now look what we got. All right, so here's goes into, right? Can you see that? So it goes into the golden zone, comes down here. Now here's the target. It's denied the target by a couple of ticks. Likely what's denying it is that structure there, right? So down we come, misses by, what is it, 2 cents. Then look at the reaction. All right, so zero doubt we have algorithms in here. We just had back-to-back tags that damn near to the tick, and now look at the reaction. So the reaction coming off of that looks like we've got a fairly decent impulse that's underway. So let me zoom in a little bit more on this. So 1, 2 looks pretty solid here. So we can look from the 2 through the 3 here. All right, so we come for the 38 here, so note Vegas wave catches it beautifully right at the 38, couple of ticks shy of the target. You know, is it bumping into this structure here? My guess is that's likely a front run on the target, and then just running into, well, right, as we just showed, right? So you look at that and you go, why doesn't it get there? Why doesn't it get there? All right, it runs into the 65, so they get denied here, right? So it's a little fib fight, a little algo fight between a buyer and a seller. In this case, oh shit, they both win, right? So this wins, that's the sell-off. So it looks pretty solid here. Right? So coming off of this, so where are we? So you can make a pretty strong case that the 4 is in here, and we're now just in the 1, 2. So if I tighten this up just a hair, let's get all the way back here to this low, get right on it. What have we just done? Tag the 50 to the tick. Right? Is there any reason not to assume that we're going to go up here? Well, if this count is going to complete, as I will remind you, you trade these until they fail. So if this count is going to complete, we've just got the start of the potential start. Right? Now we don't know that that's in, but that's interesting reaction we've got there. 3, 4, and 5. Now let's get that. Of course, is way too big. So let's go. Oh, we can go micro here. Something I haven't used. Let's go to blue. Okay, so we've got a contender here for a 1. Where are we looking for a 2? Right in the sweet spot, right at the 50. Now, pushing up here, if we're going to get the whole thing to work together, we've got a contender here. We know that's our shorthand for the wave 3, right? The negative 100. So we have a contender for a corner pocket. So off the low here. Right to the 50. Now, always with the corner pocket. The caveat is as long as these 3 pivots hold. So right now, this is the key pivot. So if that's going to hold at this 50 here, we've got 80% probability of making the median line. All right, now, we don't know that this is solid here, but as we start to move away, this just to increase our probabilities of getting here. If we're going to go up for the third, maybe we're going to little pause here, retrace, and then head up towards this. Could be here. We don't know how long that's going to take. But you get this leading component to the market's geometry here. So is it going to get there quickly? Is it going to take its sweet time? We don't know. But I've got a contender here. So there's a very reasonable trade here, just sitting here waiting, right? So right at a 50, right for a potential 2. Now we had earnings yesterday on the 30th. So there were some surprises here. So it was a positive earnings surprise. So it's +6. They're, most of you probably saw, because it was all over crypto Twitter, that their Bitcoin revenue had surged, and there were good numbers there. So this is the kind of thing. So if I'm looking at this, I'm willing to do a split fill. So I would probably do a little combination of buying the underlying. It's relatively inexpensive. Call it $68. I'd probably do a combination of futures and options here. But if I were just in terms of trying to buy the equity here, so one thought is, I'd probably do this. I'd leg into a call spread, so I'd be a buyer here since the market's coming down. Right now we have a series of lower highs. Now we've retraced here for an internal for the potential 1-2. So I don't want to sell a call here yet. So if I'm a buyer of an at-the-money call here, I'm looking for this move. I want to see it get up there a little bit, create some volatility in the out-of-the-money calls, and then I'd be likely to turn that into a call spread, but I want to see some upside here to inflate the out-of-the-money calls. The other choice here, if you just want to buy the underlying, you could be a buyer as we sit right here, anticipating the potential for a deeper retracement. So if this is potentially, we get a golden down here, right? We don't know where that's going to come. So, if you're waiting for the 618 or the golden zone, you risk getting left with it unfilled if you're going to wait for that, because we might just pivot here at the 50, right? There's no real way to know. Is it not a lot of help here? Potentially, you'd have it's not great here yet. So you'd be buying here just off of the fact that we're sitting here at a 50. So if you had a portion of whatever position you wanted to put in here in terms of owning the underlying, very reasonable to be a buyer here. I'd be teed up for potential a second entry here to kind of ladder into it at, I might split the difference here, get a little closer, maybe 62.95, looking for if it's going to sell off a little more to have this turn into a golden. So we might come down here. So you'd get a split fill. So then you're looking at, if I bring this over here, we'll split the difference just so we can get some reference here. So first algo target. Now for the stop, I would go directly underneath this pivot. Right? So we know that structure was tested, or pardon me. I would use this as the one here. This is the dominant here that was tested, but I'm going to use this pivot here for that structure because I don't want to give it all the way. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go all the way down that far. So this might be a shade too close. So if I go right under that structure on the anticipation that there likely will be some support here from this prior resistance, so I might do it that way. So first target there's 4.35 to 1. Now, of course, we're anticipating and looking for a 1, 2, 3. So if we're going to get up to the wave 3 target, now you're at 8.5 to 1. All right, now that's assuming the market comes down here and we get some sort of a split fill. So if I put this in here like this, something like that. Then you've got all of this. So potentially this is your first target, so that might be an initial profit target. So what you might anticipate is something like this. So you might get, then you get a little retrace back down here, the lower edge. Then we're going to go for the 3, 4, something like this, and then we go up for the 5, right, to complete the 5th at that degree. Right, so where's my 5th? Right here. So something like that to get us back to that median line. So putting that together, I mean, that's a nice looking little trade here. So the fact that we're so technical, I think you'd be a buyer right now, anticipating, but I would not put everything into that trade. I would keep some reserves here for the potential. You bring it down here. Potential to add at the golden zone. If you get I'd be a little bit in front of it. Stop just underneath this pivot. That's how I'd approach it, with the potential being there if you're going to get that fully realized. If you're going to get a 1, 2, 3, there's your, well, that one, shit, that's almost 11 to 1. So definitely one to be on your radar. All right, so it kind of suits a crypto enthusiast. I think that's a reasonable trade there. So very much one to be on your radar. If you're not buying it right now, I'd look for, if you want to wait and try and get the golden corner, you risk being left here. So what's the difference, right? So if you're a buyer right here, 60, let's call it 68, or you're trying to buy down here at 62, well, that's $6 difference. Not insignificant. But I'd be looking right now, right? I wouldn't want to get left waiting for something better here. I'd put 50% of whatever I was going to allocate to this trade. I'd put 50% in here. I'd have the other 50 waiting down here, stop under the pivot. All right, guys. So good choice today. Really just beautiful technical trading, just all around, just gorgeous. Okay, guys, back to you in a minute.